Yukasya Mata Mandemunoshi Charanaravinda Yaduminashi Bhagavan-sada Saranadrita Madhivakasanda Ekayavadviti Vajatasadeva Mandemunoshi Charanaravinda Kiralika
No sé si se escuchó. Espero que sí. ¿Me avisas?
Sí,
Ah,
sí, sí, se escuchó. Sí.
qué bueno, qué bueno, qué bueno. Pues yo me muteo si puedo cantar, porque si no me muteo no puedo cantar y me gusta cantar, porque si no, eh, pero no quiero que se me escuche mi voz cuando estoy ahí. Bueno, voy a leer yo un ratito hoy, ¿ok? Sé que no.
Ok.
A ver. ¿O querés leer vos? ¿Querés leer vos? O leo yo.
Ah, como quieran.
Puedo leer,
Pues,
puedo leer una cada
mm,
tanto.
mira.
Entonces, estamos aquí. Yo no muevo esto, yo no sé por qué. Me parece que. No, esto no estábamos leyendo.
Yo tomé un screenshot, espérate. Aquí
Yo lo dejo
tengo.
así quieto como para que no tenga que mover y ahí estoy viendo que hay otras cosas ahí, ¿vale?
mm, Aquí. After hearing all these speechless,
Okay, I got it.
all
No,
these speeches.
okay, no, that's not. Okay, I
After hearing all the speeches. Ajá,
hear all the speeches. That's where we begin, ¿no?
yeah.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. After hearing all these speeches of the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Bhattacharya was struck with wonder and awe and regarded him in dead silence. The Lord then encouraged him with assurance that there was no cause to wonder. I said that devotional service unto the personality of Godhead is the highest goal of human life. He then quoted a sloka from the Bhagavatam 1.7.10 and assured him that even the liberated souls who are absorbed in spiritual in spirit and spiritual realization also take to devotional service of the Lord because of the personality of God was such a transcendental qualities that he attracts the hearts of the liberated souls too. Then the Bhattacharya desired to listen to the explanation of the Atma Rama sloka from the Bhagavatam 1.7.10 The Lord first of all asked Bhattacharya to explain it, and after he will explain it. The Bhattacharya then explained the sloka in a scholarly way with a special reference to logic. He explained the sloka in 9 different ways, chiefly based on logic because he was the most renowned scholar of logic at the time. The Lord, after hearing the Bhattacharya, thanked him for the scholarly presentation of the sloka, and then, at the request of the Bhattacharya, the Lord explained the sloka in 64 different ways without touching the 9 explanations given by the Bhattacharya. Hari Hari Bol. Thus, after hearing the explanation of the Atmarama sloka from the Lord, the Bhattacharya was convinced that such a scholarly presentation is impossible for an earthly creature. Before this, Sri Gopinath Acharya had tried to convince him of the divinity of the Lord, but at that time he could not accept him. But the Bhattacharya was astounded by the Lord's exposition of the Vedanta Sutras and explanations of the Atmarama sloka, and thus he began to think that he had committed a great offense at the lotus feet of the Lord by not recognizing him to be Krishna himself. He then surrendered unto him, repenting for his past dealings with him, and the Lord was kind enough to accept the Bhattacharya. Out of his causeless mercy, the Lord manifested before him first as 400 Narayana, and then again as 200 Lord Krishna with a flute in his hand. The Bhattacharya once fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord and composed many suitable slokas in the praise of the Lord by his grace. He composed 100 slokas and praised the Lord. The Lord then embraced him and out of transcendental ecstasy, the Bhattacharya lost consciousness of the physical state of life. Tears, trembling, trolling of the heart, perspiration, emotional wave, dancing, singing, crying, all of the 8 symptoms of trance were manifested in the body of Bhattacharya. Sri Gopinacharya became very glad and astonished by his marvelous conversion of this brother-in-law by the grace of the Lord. Out of the 100 celebrated slokas composed by the Bhattacharya in praise of the Lord, the following 2 are most important, and these 2 slokas explain the mission of the Lord in gist. Let me surrender unto the personality of Godhead who has appeared now as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the ocean of all mercy and has now come down to teach us the material detachment, learning, and devotional service to himself. Since pure devotional service of the Lord has been lost in the oblivion of time, the Lord has appeared to renovate the principles, and therefore I offer my obeisances unto his lotus feet. The Lord explained the word mukti to be equivalent to the word Vishnu, or the personality of Godhead. To attain mukti, or liberation from the bondage of material existence, is to obtain the service of the Lord. The Lord then proceeded towards South India for some time and converted all he met on the way to become devotees of the Lord Sri Krishna. Such devotee also converted many others to cult of devotional service or to Bhagavata Dharma of the Lord, and thus he reached the bank of the Godavari, where he met Srila Ramananda Roy, the governor of Madras, on behalf of Maharaj Pataparudra, the king of Orissa. His talk with Ramananda Roy are very important for the higher realization of transcendental knowledge, and the conversation itself forms a small booklet. We should, however, give herewith a summary of the conversation. Quiero seguir leyendo, se me traba un poquito, si no tomo agua y sigo. Ahí sigo. Sri Ramananda Roy, Sri Ramananda was a self-realized soul, although outwardly He belonged to a caste of lower than the Brahmanas in the social status. He was not in the renounced order of life, and besides that, he was a high government servant in the state. Still, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted him as a liberated soul on the strength of the higher order of his realization of the transcendental knowledge. Similarly, the Lord accepted Srila Haridas Thakur, a veteran devotee of the Lord coming from Mohammedan family. And there are many other great devotees of the Lord who came from different communities, sects, and castes. The Lord only creation was to the Lord only criterion was the standard of devotional service of a particular person. He was not concerned with the outward dress of a man. Krishna was cliche. He was not concerned with the outward dress of a man. He was concerned only with the inner soul and its activities. Therefore, all the missionary activities of the Lord are to be understood to be on the spiritual plane, and as such, the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or the cult of Bhagavata Dharma has nothing to do with mundane affairs, sociology, politics, economics, development of any sphere of life. Srimad Bhagavatam is the purely transcendental urge to the soul. When he met Ramananda Roy on the bank of Godavari, the Varna Ashram Dharma followed by the Hindus was mentioned by the Lord. Srila Ramananda Roy said that by following the principle of Varna Ashram Dharma, the system of 4 castes and 4 orders of human life, everyone could realize transcendence. In the opinion of the Lord, the system of Varna Ashram Dharma is superficial only, and it has very little to do with the highest realization of spiritual values. The highest perfection of life is to get detached from the material attachment and proportionally realize the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The personality of Godhead recognizes a living being who is progressing in that line. Devotional service, therefore, is the accumulation of the culture of knowledge. When Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared for the deliverance of all fallen souls, he advised the deliverance of all living entities as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead, from whom all living entities have emanated, must be worshipped by all the respective engagements, because everything that we see is also the expansion of his energy. That is the way of real perfection, and it is approved by all bona fide acharyas, past and present. The system of Varna Ashram Dharma is more or less based on moral and ethical principles. There is very little realization of transcendence as such, and the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected its superficial and asked Ramananda Roy to go further into the matter. Sri Ramananda Roy then suggested renunciation of fruitive actions unto the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita 9.27 advises in this connection. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give, as well as whatever you perform, penance offer to me alone. This dedication on the path of the worker suggested that the personality of God is a step higher of the impersonal connection of the Varna Ashram system, but still the relation of living being and the Lord is not distinct in that way. The Lord therefore rejected the proposition and asked Ramananda Roy to go further. Raya then suggested renunciation of the Varna Ashram Dharma and accepted devotional service. The Lord did not approve the suggestion, also for the reason that all of the sudden one should not renounce his position, for that may not bring in the desired result. He was further suggested by Raya the attainment of spiritual realization free from the material conception of life is the topmost achievement for a living being. The Lord rejected this suggestion also because of the plea of such spiritual realization much above have been wronged by unscrupulous persons. Therefore, all of a sudden, this is not possible. The Raya then suggests the sincere association of self-realized souls and hearing submissively the transcendental message of the pastime of the personality of Godhead. This suggestion was welcomed by the Lord. We should read that suggestion again. The Raya then suggests sincerely association of self-realized souls and hearing submissively the transcendental message of the pastimes of the personality of Godhead. This suggestion was welcomed by the Lord. The suggestion was made following in the footsteps of Brahmaji, who said that the personality of Godhead is not Ajita, or the one who cannot be conquered or approached by anyone, but such Ajita also become Jita, conquered by one method, which is very simple and easy. The simple method is that one has to give up the arrogant attitude of declaring oneself to be God himself. I will read that again. The simple method is that one has to give up the arrogant attitude of declaring oneself to be God himself. One must be very meek and submissive and try to live peacefully by lending the ear to the speeches of the transcendentally self-realized souls who speak the message of the Bhagavatam Dharma or the religion of glorifying the Supreme Personality of Lord and his devotee. I want to make a comment here because I listened to, again, my guru, Radhika Raman Prabhu, and he was talking about how the difference between being humble and being have low self-esteem. He made the difference being humble and have low self-esteem. And I think as the devotees, many times we think are the same thing, not value ourselves, feeling the most lowest, not be able to do anything, and then we are able to do nothing because of that. Instead, he suggests that being humble means that whenever we have a talent, we exploit it, we use it the most, but recognize Krishna as the giver of the talent. That is real humbleness. No? Not that I'm not useless, or I'm, the lowest of the lowest, I can do nothing well, that's low self-esteem, and that's psychological problem that need to be treated. But understand that whatever we have as a talent, we should offer to Krishna, and then understand that the talent even comes from Krishna. Not that only we offer to Krishna, but it comes from him. I don't have a talent. I don't even have air to breathe if it wasn't for Krishna. And so that's really humbleness. And I really like that conception of it.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I read a few months ago of Mahatma Das. Mahatma Das, he told that low self-esteem is rather like not how to say, not healthy, because the person that has low self-esteem, he needs to be reaffirmed much more times than a person that doesn't have low self-esteem. So it's like it's not proper way to be in devotional service or whatever you do in life, because you ask more from people, and it's like egocentric actions of yourself by being low self-esteem. It's like it's like paradox. Like, I'm so self-esteem, but not to be low self-esteem, I need so much of
Attention.
other people, and give me more, say me more that I'm doing well. It's like no, it's not good.
Yeah. For me, it was the first time I even realized the word difference, I mean, literally, and it's always a part of the life of the devotee, for being a devotee for so long, that really it bothered me, and then, it bothered me because it really doesn't give it the skill to excel as something that Krishna gives you as a gift, because you cannot be, you have to be humble, and but the real humble is understand that gift is not your doing. It's not your talent. I mean, it's your talent because Krishna utilizes you, but it's not yours. You didn't create it, you didn't make
personally.
it. So humbleness means to recognize the source of that talent, and so I think we're reading that now, and I really like that aspect of it. Because anyway, we should leave it here. This is very nice. We could read it again if the girls come tomorrow, because such a nice reading, no? What all the propositions that Ramananda Roy makes, and how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected them, no? Very interesting.
It's great.
Thank you for being here. So I'm not.
Hare Krishna.
I'm going. Well, let's offer our respectful obeisances to all devotees, Vaishnavas of the Lord. They are like a desire trees, able to fulfill everyone's desires, and they're full of compassion for the conditioned souls. Shai. Vanchakalpatarvascha, Kripasindu Yavacha, Patitanam Pavanivyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha.